Welcome to Spotlight, the monthly podcast of the Topeka Community Foundation. This month, we're featuring the Community Innovation Challenge at Washburn University, where the Topeka Community Foundation partners with the Brenneman School of Business to offer a pitch contest to students for businesses that have both a financial and a social return. Today, we're visiting with the 2025 winner, Emily Harmon, and Dr. David Price, a professor at Washburn University. Thank you for joining me today. The first thing that we want to talk about is how this all came to be. The Community Innovation Challenge has been going on for a few years, but Dr. Price, who thought of this idea? How was it brought to Washburn? And what was the very beginning like when we began this?
Sure. Well, TCF, you approached us talking to us about, hey, how can we get more involved with our students? And I had a look at what you guys were doing. We already had a successful pitch competition in the fall. And when I saw what you guys were doing, I thought the best approach would be another competition that instead of focusing on a for-profit business, which is what the students do in the fall, is focus on social entrepreneurship. And so these students social entrepreneurship is when students have to use the same fundamental principles of entrepreneurship, but instead of just developing a for-profit business model, they also have to come up with a solution to community problems as well, which can be very challenging. So we talked about that, and we thought that was a good model. It was taking off in other schools around the country as well. I haven't seen any really here locally. So it's a first for Washburn, but it has been very successful.
Right. And tell us the competition from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. What does that whole process look like?
Yeah, we hold it in the spring. It takes about 2 months to complete. The first phase of the competition, the students have to write a written proposal. That's about 2 to 3 pages. I'm looking at Emily now. And we've had anywhere from 30-some to 60-some entries, but the Community Foundation supplies our judges. No faculty are involved in that at all. And they see these proposals blind. They don't know who's writing them. And they have a set of criteria that they judge these on, and they send their scores back in, and we take the top 10 proposals. And from those top 10, those students now have to give a short presentation, about 5 minutes in the second round in the semifinals. And from that point, we have 4 different judges who judge these presentations. Out of those top 10, we take the top 4 that move through to the grand finals a few weeks later. That's when they get to propose their idea in more detail. They have to have their proposal tight, right? So they get asked a lot of questions by our judges, and that's done in front of a room of it's a little nerve-wracking, Emily, 100 people, and but they usually do a great job, and we just saw this year that it was really fantastic, and so was your year, by the way. And so over the course of 2 months, they really refine their idea, and they come up with something special, usually at the end.
Right. From the very first year that we did it to this year, what have we learned, and what are some of the adaptations that have been made as we've learned along the way?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think when we started, we really had a fairly broad application of what social entrepreneurship is. So we'd have a lot of students saying, I want to just save the environment or save the whales or something like that. And we made it tighter, right? Mm-hmm. So we thought, okay, how can we get these students to be more focused on the local community? And we rewarded that in the rubric that the judges use. We gave more points for a local start, at least, even if they have a national application or international like Emily does. Many of them do, we hope. But we want them to start locally. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was one of the biggest changes, which I think is much better now.
Right. I attended your other pitch contest before we introduced the Community Innovation Challenge. Mm-hmm. The main difference there is the social and the financial return for the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. So we call it mission and money. So, I mentioned already, a for-profit business is all about making the money, and that's fine. But with a social venture, in my opinion, I think it's much harder. These students have to figure out where the money's coming from. So in a social venture, the recipients of your product or service are not paying for it. And so, okay, well, how do I fund this over time? And that's the real challenge. And so you have to look closely at your business model, where that money's coming from. I usually teach it from the perspective of earned revenue. So Emily's idea is like that. So you're actually producing some sort of good or service that can bring in revenue, that can fund the business, with the main goal still being some sort of social benefit. But in order up front, I think it's wise to have something so you're not always just surviving on grants or volunteers. You've got an earned revenue business model, and then you can fund what your main goal is, your main mission, through that type of model.
The Community Foundation introduced years ago impact investing, where we make loans to for-profit and nonprofit businesses that are doing good, affordable housing, daycare, businesses that are making money but have also a social return. What has been the students' response to opening their eyes to businesses that can do both instead of just the bottom line being purely financial? Yeah,
that's a great point. And that is the biggest thing, opening their eyes, because they weren't even, most of my students aren't even aware of what social entrepreneurship is, what that concept is. So, being in the business school, they really are trained around revenue being all important and shareholder wealth. By exposing them to this competition, right, is really opening their eyes, as you said, to, oh boy, I can take what I'm learning in business school and applying that in a way, right, as long as it's creative and innovative with the way that they go about it, that can really help people. And I think your generation, Emily, I think they really are concerned about those things. And this gives them a tool, a skill set, if you will, that they can apply through business and fund a cause or some sort of benefit for society that can really make a difference. And they just really aren't aware of that normally.
When students are thinking about businesses with this competition, they're needing to be a financial and a social return. How has that changed your thinking, maybe, about what a business can mean and how you measure the success of that business?
Yeah, so when I first had my idea, I didn't really think about any social benefits for it. But then the more and more I thought about it, and then when I heard about this competition, I kind of thought it would be a good way for me to start exploring that. And that's honestly kind of paved the way for how I am thinking about my product now. So yeah, I think this competition is great because it shows people that even normal products or businesses can still find a way to serve a social benefit.
Right. This year, I think especially as we listened to the presentations of the students, they were very community focused. They'd done research about the community and the people that would be serving. Have you seen the students make connections in the community that maybe they wouldn't have made if it wasn't for this competition?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the goals, I think, of the entire program, is that the students are aware and they're making connections with community leaders. So in my class, for example, I require students to enter this competition. And so they say, well, where do I start? And it's research. You can find out on a national level what's going on, of course. But then drill down to regional, Kansas, and then regional, and then in Topeka itself. So I send them to your website, what TCF is doing and what your goals are. Also to other nonprofit organizations in Topeka. So United Way, Kappa, and a couple of others. What are their goals? What do they see as some of the most important priorities for our community? I know some of these students have set up interviews and they've talked to people at these different organizations That's a big bonus. If you're into the finals round and say, hey, I've talked to the manager of this place, this is what they need. I've incorporated that into my proposal. This is the solution. I've worked with them on this. And that's much more powerful, right? And it gives their proposal a lot of direction.
Right.
So they are out there prior to their presentations. And then, of course, several of them, I know you've talked to me about a couple of students who didn't even place, or they may have placed, but I know of some that didn't place in the semifinals, and they're still pursuing their idea. So the competition is working on a broader scale too, that sometimes you don't even see. And that was one of the goals.
I have a meeting tomorrow
Yep,
with someone who didn't make it to the semifinals, but had a super, super great idea.
Yeah.
And even if we can help connect him in some way to help make that business possible, what a win.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it
to
is.
see him talking about these types of things, about how I can help, is amazing.
Yeah. Emily, let's shine a spotlight on you for a minute. What inspired you to participate, I think, in both pitch contests, but especially the Community Innovation Challenge?
Yeah, so I'll start out sharing a little bit about what my product is. So I created a trumpet fidget, and I have the finished product here, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It is just a fidget toy designed to feel like a trumpet. So the idea came to me just a little over 2 years ago, and it kind of just started as a fun idea. I went out and bought a 3D printer, just thinking I would, 3D print it, and it kind of just kept expanding. And it came to the point where I wanted to get it like professionally made outside of just a 3D printer. The problem with that is it is very expensive. So that's kind of where I got connected with the fall pitch competition. I am a music ed student, so not a business student. And so I was originally not very aware of all the opportunities that there were out there to help someone like me, get a product to life. And so I entered in that pitch competition, just kind of like seeing what would happen, and ended up doing really, really well. I got third place in it and made a lot of connections, learned a whole bunch. And then that helped me get to continue my progress, find a company that would cover my prototyping and all that. And then when it came time for the Community Innovation Challenge, I was a lot further along, but was still very excited about what else I could do with this product. And up until this point, the whole premise of it was just a fun fidget toy for musicians. And I kind of thought, what are some ways I could expand this to maybe be an educational device and maybe be like an inclusive way for everyone to get to experience playing a musical instrument. And so I used the Community Innovation Challenge as a way to explore those avenues. And I didn't go in thinking I would win it by any means, but I thought, if I could use this competition to learn a little more about the different ways I could use this product, that would be awesome. And then it just kept going from there. So
it's probably one of the best things about it is the networking, right? You come in with a good idea and you refine it, and then she meets other people in the community who can help you, right? Whether that was down at Topeka or economically or socially. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Emily, when you participated in the Community Innovation Challenge, one of the things you presented by Zoom or by recording at the semifinals, but then you made it to the finals. So you were part of numerous students who were part of an original application, made it to the semifinals and made it to the finals. What did you learn in working with other students in prepping for your presentation or through the competition process? What did the students learn from each other during that time?
I think it's really motivating, actually. I think when you enter a competition, you're so focused on you're competing against these people. But I think in general, it's really motivating to just see so many students that are actively wanting to go out there and make a difference. So I don't know if there's anything particular I've learned, but I think overall it's just really cool to see so many people that want to go out there and all their different ideas. And it's really inspiring to see what ideas people can come up with and like what they're willing to do to execute them.
Right. I know that you've even presented maybe in Silicon Valley, and so tell us about that.
Yeah.
The doors of opportunity that have opened for you.
Yeah, so during that fall pitch competition, I got approached by Go Topeka to take a trip to Silicon Valley in California and get to go experience like an innovation conference. And it was completely paid for. They even worked around my crazy schedule. I had a couple performances, I remember, and so they were only able to get me there for a little time, but I was able to go, and they actually invited me on stage to get to speak about my product. And so from someone that, music education major, not used to pitching, not used to, doing all this stuff, I mean, it was definitely a shock for me, but I mean, I've learned so much from all of these opportunities, and even getting to pitch at Silicon Valley, helped me learn how to pitch a little better for when I did do the Community Innovation Challenge.
So you're a music major, not a business major. That's one thing about the Community Innovation Challenge. It's open to every field of study at the Washburn campus. But how would you have guessed your freshman year as a music major that you would be winning a pitch contest and starting your own business? And tell us about that journey.
Well, like I said, I mean, when I first had this idea, First, I thought it already existed. And so I went to look it up and thought I would find something, and there was absolutely nothing. And so I kind of told my parents about it, and they kind of, I don't know if it was joking or how serious they were, but they were like, you should try and make this. And so that's where, the 3D printer came about. And even then, like, it was just a fun project, to do. As a music major, we spend so much time in the music building working on our instruments. It's nice to have a hobby outside of music. And so at first it was just a hobby for me. And even, the more I got into it, I mean, I would have never expected to even have a physical, product that's professionally made, all that kind of stuff. So it's amazing what kind of opportunities there are for people like me who aren't as connected,
So tell me what it means having won the Community Innovation Challenge. What has that meant to you and for your product?
Yeah, the feeling was incredible. I still remember the exact moment that I was announced as the winner. It was pure shock, but also enjoyment. From a product standpoint, the money from the competition helped fund the molding, which, like I mentioned briefly, this is professionally made, injection molded. But when you do that, the molding process is very expensive. And so the money from the competition allowed me to completely fund that. And honestly, I don't know if I would be able to have launched this as fast as I did without that money.
That's awesome. And so where is your business today? You were the 2025 winner of the Community Innovation Challenge. And where is your business today?
Yeah, so I launched in October of 2025. And within 3 weeks, I managed to sell out completely of my first batch. I got a lot of success really early on from TikTok and Instagram. I managed to hit the right channels. And then from there, I've had to buy 2 more batches. I've sold to all 50 states, and I've sold to countries all over the world, Singapore, Australia, Finland, UK, Canada, Portugal, France, all over. So.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And so what's next?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, right now I just have the trumpet fidget. Looking ahead, I'm planning on expanding to other instruments. In fact, I just got some money to help me start prototyping the next product, which I'm hoping will be a 4-valve fidget. So it'll just add on an extra valve to the trumpet, and it would encompass instruments like tuba and euphonium. But it would also be another just general tool for all musicians. So
that's so exciting.
Yeah, fantastic. Where do you get these made?
So the plastic parts are injection molded out of China, but there's some other things in here. I tried really hard to keep everything locally or at as much locally as possible. So there's springs in there that are made in the U.S. and some other things, and then the packaging is also made in the U.S.
Gotcha.
And part of the winning meant that you needed to report back to the Community Foundation's board of directors, which you did a great job at. But at that meeting, you explained to us how putting this whole packaging together, you've got a team of people behind you doing that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the ways that I save costs is I do all the packaging and assembling and shipping all by myself. And so when I'm selling as much as I am, there's a lot that goes into it. And then on top of school, so I'm very, very lucky to have my mom, dad, and brother who are always willing to help me assemble. And then I've also had friends that every once in a while will host like assembly parties, and I'll go out and buy pizza and we'll just put on some music and make a assembly line together. So very, very thankful to have people like that in my corner.
That's awesome.
It makes this a lot easier for me.
Yeah,
Great.
good.
Yeah. This year, Dr. Price, we saw and heard some great ideas. I think every year we've seen the ideas that have come from students be even more and more impressive. This year, especially, I felt like they had done a lot of research, lots of great ideas. We even had a tie at the semifinal level.
Sure did.
So tell us about this year's challenge, what we saw, and about some of the amazing ideas that we heard.
Yeah. So this year, like you said, very diverse, well-researched ideas. Our winner was Devin Fritz. He had a proposal called Underwear Everywhere. And you mentioned research, and I had no idea about this, but apparently, so he works with, he was working with the Topeka shelter for homeless people who, one of the most requested item, because they get a lot of donated goods and things like that, is underwear. And I was like, what? And apparently this, of course, it makes sense when you think about it. They don't reuse these, right? And so people donate everything except that sort of thing. So they have to expend a lot of money on underwear, and they have to limit the amount that they give. And so I wasn't even aware of that problem. He had obviously done his research, and his proposal was a one-for-one model where he was going to market underwear with the express intent to tell the buyer that this is for a good cause, and so every one that they sell, they would give one or donate one to, starting in Topeka, to the rescue mission and some other places. And so that was the goal, and very well researched. Had his marketing in place and everything around it, so it was very tight. And I wasn't surprised he won. It was very impressive.
Right, it was. And so with this year being done, already looking into next year, 2027, if you're like us, we always sit back after we've completed an event. What went right? What would we do different? So is there any kind of reflection from this year? And is there anything different that we can be expecting in 2027?
Well, I would say what we normally do, I'll sit down with you. I'll say, hey, what did you think? What sort of feedback did you get? I ask judges for their feedback. Of course, I ask students. And so I take that information, we meet and see how we can improve it. And I think we've got it to the point now. So what are we, 4 years now? It's pretty tight.
Yep.
I mean, I'm liking where it's at. The ideas and the proposals and the presentations are getting better and better. Of course, Emily set a very high standard. and so it's just really impressed. And most of our stakeholders, our judges and community leaders are impressed too. So I like where it's going. What I would like to do and what I started to do this year was get more students like Emily outside of the School of Business. So most of the students are still business students that enter. I just think because they're within our environment in the school, and they see posters and they see us talking about it. So I'm trying to get the word out to different schools. So social work, education, these other disciplines that you can see by Emily's example, they've got great ideas, and just let them know that this outlet's there. We have posters, we have emails. Of course, students don't read their emails, I find out, and they still don't seem to know about it.
Right.
So I need some faculty champions in each of these different departments to kind of get the word out internally in their department. So that's what my goal is next year, to get a more diverse range of students involved.
Emily, this might be the most important question of all. Where can we get a trumpet fidget?
So they're for sale at Manning Music here in town, but they're also for sale on my website, which is pocket-keys.com. And it's for sale for $15. And I have the yellow one, but it's also comes in pink and blue right now.
Great, thank you. And thanks to both of you for your time and for this conversation. As we talk about social good, what better place to begin thinking about businesses than at Washburn?
Yep.
The best and brightest minds in our community to start planting that seed about financial and social return and businesses that can truly make a difference as a business and as something important in our community. So thank you for helping us spread that word in our community.
Well, yeah, and thank you, TCF. I mean, you guys you took the initiative, approached us, thought this would be, we can do something good here. And that prize money, I mean, it works. It gets them there. And it has this cascading effect, right? And so you get them involved, they start to think about it, they develop their ideas further and further along as they go through the process, and it wouldn't have happened without that. Washburn is we're a small school, but we're a very important part of the community. And being really the only university here in town, the support that we receive from our alumni, from the community, from our leaders, it's important that we try and give back, right, in what we're doing, whether that's in the degrees our students are earning, the content of those degrees, or the extracurricular activities like the Innovation Challenge, where we work in conjunction with the community. It's just a much better, stronger education for me if they have, it's not just about textbook. The things that you learn going through that, Emily, were far greater, I think, than anything that you can get in a classroom. And so this type of program is perfect for us because it's well integrated into the community, and it's, of course, teaches our students, but it also shows the community that we care and that we're trying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
well, thank you.